I have mixed thoughts. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and yes, just came back after watching the extremely hyped Thor Love and Thunder by Marvel Studios, a movie that personally as an MCU fan, I was looking forward to it a lot, like with bated breath. But did it deliver? In parts, yes, but otherwise, this was a little bit of a letdown. And when I was watching the film, it felt like this is Marvel Studios being in its least creative mode. I don't know what Kevin Feige was thinking. He probably thought that, okay, this is what works for us. Comedy, Ragnarok music worked. Then Thor in that Ragnarok kind of humor element, it worked. And Taika Waititi did a great job, so that worked. So we're just going to keep the same thing, and we're just going to present it to the audience. Nothing new. Except, of course, the presence of another Thor, which is Natalie Portman. As someone who has followed this film from the very first Iron Man, and I'm not just saying, oh, I started following MCU when Avengers, there was a huge hype with the first Avengers, and a lot of people started realizing, oh, there is a series of films which comes before Avengers, so let us watch those and then we'll go for Avengers. No, I'm not that fan. I am that fan who has watched Iron Man 1 when it had released and has stuck with MCU ever since the inception of this concept. So I, as a fan, honestly, I felt a little bit cheated here. I was expecting it to be an emotional journey with Thor because, of course, if you see Endgame, he is confused. He doesn't know what he wants because he lost everybody. At that point of time, he's at his lowest. He has lost literally everybody. He's with the Guardians, and yeah, he will try to figure himself out. Then show me that emotional journey, show me a little bit of arc. But this is the first time I just did not feel invested in him, and that's shocking, for me at least as a fan. For a fun, light-hearted film, this is okay. Because it's really fast-paced, and you're gonna just have fun, enjoy yourself. There are jokes, not all of them land. Like literally there are forced jokes, and you could see, like, people who have followed MCU since Iron Man 1, you'll understand like what is the humor which actually works with the dialogue, the situational comedy and forced comedy. And in this case, it was forced. And I don't even want to compare it with all the MCU films. Let me just compare it with Thor Ragnarok and this one, because it's the same director. The movie looks and feels the same. Ragnarok was much more emotionally rooted, I would say. There's a lot of his friends and aides he loses in Ragnarok. I mean, he loses his father, then he finds out that he has a sister, and then the bond between him and Loki. I felt everything. And the biggest thing is that the jokes in Ragnarok actually landed. That was not the case for this film. Yeah, there were a couple of jokes which were funny, there were moments which were nice and were cute, but that's about it. Everything was treated in a very surface level manner. And I have a problem with that because this is the phase 4 of MCU. So you expect a lot more matured writing because the characters have matured now. And Thor is in such a vulnerable state. I don't want him to see as a stand-up comedian. Like, he's not a comedian, he's a superhero. And there are 3 main characters in this film. You have the Valkyrie, you have the mighty Thor, which is of course Jane Foster, and then you have Thor. So if you want to include 3 parallel characters who are so important to the storyline, then 2 hours running length is really less. And on top of that, you have introduced such an important villain, Gore, who's the God Butcher. I mean, literally, I swear, I think Christian Bale is the guy who sort of saves this film and actually gives it a serious tone. But even his arc is not really fleshed out well. I feel that the running length was really short for this movie because you have actually 4 main characters here. You have the Gore, you have the mighty Thor, that is Jane Foster's storyline, you have Valkyrie, and then you have the main superhero. But out of all these 4 characters, Thor was the weakest. And I personally take offense in that as a die-hard MCU fan. fan because it just showed me that Marvel Studios have taken us for granted, basically. And I'm sorry, I'm just talking as a fan. I'm not talking as a reviewer. I don't like, I'm not a critic or anything. I'm just a fan and just an audience just like you, and I'm just sharing my thoughts here. So I feel that I have been taken for granted, and they just don't want to think out of the box. You know, the theater was packed, and literally all of us were like MCU fans over there who were watching. And when the movie ended, there was this collective feeling that हाँ अच्छा था, मजा आया, but वो बात नहीं रही. This was the feeling. So yes, if you really want to just watch it and have fun, don't want to think about it, you can go and watch. Of course, it's fun. It's fun. It's light-hearted. Nothing too serious. But for someone like me, who has followed these movies and who's really connected emotionally to the characters, and especially the OG Avengers, yeah, for me, it hurts a little bit. I feel that this movie is a disservice to Thor, and it has really prompted me to rewatch Infinity War once again, because yeah, that moment I can still remember. I can never forget when Thor enters Wakanda and the cheers, the way the crowd erupted in the theater. I can never forget it. And when he shouts, "Bring me Thanos," that is like the most iconic moment. And now you have reduced him to like just a comedian? Really? That's not fair. So yes, for all the characters, the only character who got a little bit of development or an arc is Natalie Portman's Jane Foster. Her arc was good. I enjoyed her parts and like her action scenes. She did justice to her role. Then coming to Christian Bale, I mean, you have such a talented actor, you've hired such a talented actor, and you're introducing such an amazing antagonist villain. Wasted. Honestly wasted. I feel he deserved more screen time, because whenever he was appearing on screen, I was genuinely interested, loved his acting, loved his dialogue delivery, and I like that, you know, he did not have much prosthetics or makeup, because then you could really see his expression, and it was a treat to watch him. But then his parts are not that much, like he doesn't have that much of screen time, and his arc is not fleshed out properly. You don't feel intimidated, and I think that overall this could have been a great, epic, dark story with humor. Keep the humor. I'm not saying don't keep the humor. Keep the humor. But it could have been something really epic, and this is literally a lost opportunity by the makers. It's so weird that I am actually becoming a fan of the OTT series of MCU rather than the movies. Like, the OTT series are doing much better job than the films. The only films from Phase 4 which really impressed me, one, Shang-Chi, and second is Spider-Man No Way Home, and that too, see, Spider-Man No Way Home also had a very thin plot, but it played on nostalgia. Like, universe played its cards right, and you know, MCU, you know, Marvel Studios and Sony, I mean, it's a very lucky situation that we as an audience got to see all the three Spider-Mans, like all the universes collide. So that was something rare that happened, which played on our nostalgia, and yeah, it worked. But other than that, Shang-Chi was the only film which I found was really good, and then Eternals was okay, and Doctor Strange was also just about okay. But this one, I think out of all the Phase 4 MCU films, for me, this one is the weakest. The Guardians just have a cameo there in the beginning, and that's about it. There is no real significance, you know, about their presence in the overall plot. Now in Ragnarok, the BGM sort of blended so well with the scenes, and here also it's the same kind of BGM, but I don't know, it didn't work that much. And I think it is because of the forced comedy. Like, every line is a punchline. Every line is a punchline. And, you know, too much of something is bad. So overall, it's a very average film. And if you just want to go and watch a movie for time pass sake, then go watch it. You will have fun, because it's like a light-hearted comedy film with cool VFX, and that's it. That's all that is. But if you love Marvel Studios films, if you are an MCU fan, I don't know, at least personally, I was disappointed because I did not feel any emotional connect throughout the running length of the movie. So let me know your thoughts if you have watched this film. Did you enjoy it, or you know, were you like highly disappointed? I'm not highly disappointed. I just feel cheated. As a fan, I feel that Marvel Studios is just playing it too safe at this point, which they should not. You know, it sort of reminded me of that book. I don't know if you guys have read it or not. What got you here is not going to get you there. And what got Marvel Studios at this particular point, if they just keep doing the same thing, they're just gonna fizzle out. Then they're just gonna fizzle out. So I mean, I am still a very loyal MCU fan. Anything they put out, I'm going to watch. But they really need to take, I mean, I hope collectively they take this feedback from the fans and think a little bit out of the box, you know, invest in, because they're getting such great directors. But if the studio is not allowing them to, you know, show their creativity, then there's no point hiring great directors. I mean, it's just pointless. So yes, those were my thoughts, guys. Those were my overall thoughts, just like literally the first thoughts after I came back. And yeah, I was not this disappointed after Doctor Strange also. Like, I was still okay. This I don't know. I just personally feel disappointed, honestly. So yeah, I'm gonna just leave it at that. Yeah, bye.